Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nexus gaming series. And don't mind the Dorsey note. That is incorrect. I am alone tonight. I have not found a co-caster for tonight. I apologize to everyone who will just have to listen to me spouting all my nonsense alone. But looks like both of these teams are definitely ready to go. Should be a pretty good match here. We got TMG Red versus number one in Innovation. We got a semi-final Division A matchup here between these two teams. So it should be quite a lot of fun to get to watch these two battle it out. First map will be Battlefield of Eternity. And that should pretty much do it. We're about ready to go. Looks like both of these teams are in the lobby. And I think we got everything set up for the stream. So I think good to go. As long as both of these teams are ready. All right. And it looks like they are. All right. Starting the night off strong here. Game number one will be Battlefield of Eternity. TMG Red, number one in Innovation. Get this hype train underway. And Battlefield's definitely one of my favorite maps. Definitely got to prioritize the immortal damage. But also, definitely worth noting that a really big factor here is going to be the team fighting. We do see, especially as you get better and better into the higher rankings, we'll see a lot more team fighting, a lot more prioritization on defensive posturing as well. So definitely got a lot to strategize for both of these teams as they start to pick up this draft and figure out what direction they want to take it into. The Greymane going to be instantly picked up here for Innovation, and TMG Red grabbing that early ETC. He can be a really hard hero to have to deal with on this map with his superior CC potential. Definitely one of the best CC heroes in the game, and Muradin will follow it up here for Innovation. So right away they are definitely prioritizing the damage to the Immortal. For tanks, Muradin's about as good as you can get for immortal damage for the what I'm going to call the viable tanks. Artanis will occasionally see is definitely the highest in pure damage with that amateur opponent ability, but he's not as viable, I think, as a lot of the other tanks. Meanwhile, Sonya and Karazim coming out here for TMG Red. Again, both heroes that have that strong PvE damage potential. Karazim of the supports, probably the best other than Rhaegar in terms of PvE damage. And also pretty good on the collapse and the follow-up for the ETC CC, as well as the Sonya. Meanwhile, we'll see Uther and Brightwing banned out here, so both teams targeting the support. Makes sense for the side of TMG Red, but I'm a little bit surprised to see Innovation banning out healers when they don't already have one. But they had a plan all along. They'll grab Lucio and Malthael right out the gate. Lucio, we've been seeing coming back into the meta more and more. The high mobility that he offers and the sustained healing. Nice thing when your healer never really has to go back to be able to still push out a ton of heals for your team. Meanwhile, Karazim will see often running out of mana, particularly if you don't go with that level 1 mana talent. But two more picks coming here for TMG Red. They haven't shown a whole lot of their comp yet. They've got the double front line, but who's going to be dealing the damage is the question. What assassin do they really want to go with? And are they going to go into that oh-so-popular dual support? You wouldn't expect it to be a solo support Karazim. That's not necessarily unheard of. But so we'll have to see what they decide to do here. Still quite a lot of good damage dealers left, and there it is. It is going to be the Rhaegar and the Vala. So Valla, definitely one of the highest damage dealing PvE damage dealers in the game. Rhaegar actually has the highest damage potential of any hero in the game, not just supports, but heroes before that level 7 mark comes in. And you start to get the Valla with the double arrows. But the TMG Red definitely prioritizing that PvE damage. Also got to mention that Malthael does quite a lot to the Immortals, so I would expect to see them trying to take advantage of that as well with that Malthael poke, and Stukov is going to round it out for the side of Innovation. So they've got a lot of good CC potential. Both teams have a lot of sustain, so I would expect to see some pretty long fights here on Battlefield of Eternity in the mid. Some defensive posturing from both, but both of these teams also have the potential to really turn up the damage onto the Immortal when they do decide to go offensive. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them really going after that once they get a little bit of an edge. Looks like we are ready to go here, loading in to our first map. Battlefield, definitely a favorite amongst the Heroes of the Storm population, I would say. Hard to give either team an edge. You know, both of these comps are pretty similar. You know, you got the frontline sustained damage dealers and Sonya and Malthael on each side. You know, each team's got one solid tank with a double support, one good backline damage that has a ton of immortal damage. So it's very similar on each side. But either way, we are loaded in here. Battlefield of Eternity will host game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Semifinals for the A division, and on the left, TMG Red. We're going to have Ezreal going to be on the Rhaegar. Shade is going to be playing the Sonya. Down to the bottom, Swanky going to be playing the ETC. Fire Team is going to be on the Karazim, and Time is going to be on the Valla. Meanwhile, on the right, number 1 in Innovation, Light God going to be playing the Malthael. It's Chrissy. It's going to be on the Muradin. Kiros on Lucio. Amon going to be playing the Stukov. And Black Bandits on the Greymane. So right away, interesting laning choice here for TMG. They are going to go ahead and put Rhaegar and Sonya in the top lane to double soak that. Meanwhile, a ton of damage coming down onto Swanky. The Stukov lurking arm there, going to go ahead and prevent him from being able to quickly slide out. But the Karazim will be able to bring the health back up, and they'll be able to fend off the 4-member assault in the bottom. But they are getting a lot of value in the top lane. They are going to end up getting very close to taking down the first of these 2 cannon towers here in the top lane. But we will see Kairos coming on up to the top to help out Light God push back the side of TMG in this top lane. And for now, that's definitely going to be a laning mismatch here in favor of Innovation with these Lucio sustained heals. Both Sonya and Malthael definitely are able to sustain themselves pretty well, but the Lucio healing is going to be far more sustaining than that of the Rhaegar. Meanwhile, we're trading out Assassins in the bottom lane. Greymane and Valla will both go down. So both teams are going to lose their primary damage dealers for their immortal damage right before the immortal phase comes up. So no real advantage gained from that. It's the side of TMG Red will rotate to the immortal and start to get a little bit of damage out on it. The Lightning Bond talent at 1 for Ezreal will give a nice advantage if they can get in there. Right now, defensive posturing coming out from number 1 in Innovation. They definitely have the more sustaining heal comp. Karazim and Rhaegar have good AoE healing, but it is on the cooldown. Whereas Lucio's constantly pumping out those heals, and Stukov, I think, overall gets a little bit more in the healing numbers department. But the full push in here from TMG Red. The slide in. Amon is going to get a ton of damage put down on him. Time is still on the chase, still poking away at the Stukov. But for now, they're going to settle for the Immortal phasing here. And it is going to be in favor of number 1 in Innovation. They did have that constant damage falling down onto it while that defensive posturing was going on. So they are able to get the early advantage here. Meanwhile, both teams will go ahead and start to poke around at theirs a little bit here. And Ezreal taking a lot of damage here. He's going to have to back out for the moment. Meanwhile, the side of Innovation, still with that defensive posturing, and Stukov actually falling in the bottom there. Swanky also getting very low here, but Chrissy is going to be the one that is going to end up getting very low. Fire team still going after him. We'll be able to make it out with the help of the Lucio speed. Light God getting very low. Rhaegar will actually fall. And action all over the place here early on Battlefield of Eternity. Both these teams going back and forth. Now the side of TMG Red going to collapse and try and pulse that damage out, but it's going to be very close. But it will eventually go over into the favor of number 1 in Innovation. Side of TMG Red not quite having enough damage without the Rhaegar there with that lightning bond. The Vala's damage will come in as that level 4 talent quest gets closer and closer to being finished, and when the level 7 repeating arrow comes down. That'll be a big boost in damage, but for now, number 1 in Innovation has that advantage, and they will take it here with this Immortal. Not much shielding on it, but both solo laners will go down to the bot lane to soak. 4-man rotation here. Fire team getting very low. He's going to have to back out of that situation and get healed up a little bit. But they will get the front wall and the well. They're going to turn and get a little bit of damage on the fort. But they're not going to be able to get too much off of this first Immortal. The bottom line is that at the end of the day, you're going to be able to recover from this over on the side of TMG Red. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, the solo laners continuing to do their thing. I also think I'm locked in on Sonya somehow. Huh. My mistake. Meanwhile, Light God will come down here and is going to get ganked. Ezreal with a nice rotation. Going to help shade out. And then the gentleman's agreement for the solo laners to be left alone has not been honored here on Battlefield of Eternity. Saw right out the gate Ezreal favoring going down to help the solo lane. And there they end up getting a pick from it. Slight advantage to the side of TMG Red. They have a tiny XP lead, but really nothing you would write home about. Very competitive early game here from both of these teams. We'll have to see who could take over heading into the mid game. I would definitely think that the ultimates would favor the side of TMG Red just a little bit. We've got a lot of good engage potential. We'll have to see what Swanky decides to go on ETC. There is a lot of interrupts for Mosh Pit. And, you know, Sound Barrier with the Tormented Souls can also be very strong over on the side of Innovation. So we'll have to see. You know, I think both teams definitely have a huge spike with their ultimates. But we'll have to see what ends up happening here. Right away, we will see the both of these Immortals each spawn on their own respective team's side here. Both teams electing to grab their Shaman camps right before the spawn, like you would expect A Division teams to do here in the semifinals. Everybody on it right now. Meanwhile, both teams will send a representative out to the other lane to kill these Shaman camps off. And so the 4v4 poke battle in the mid will commence. Chrissy stepping forward, throwing out the Storm Bolt, which will actually get through to the Immortal. And both teams will reset and posture up as the solo laners start to come back. Level 9 right around the corner for both of these teams, but it'll be a little while until they can get level 10. I wouldn't well, they might actually, if they can hold off for it. It would be a slight advantage to TMG Red. Swanky will slide in, but not quite hitting the mark on Cruz. Meanwhile, here comes the side of Innovation. They get a ton of damage down onto Swanky. They almost get him caught up in the stun circle. He's gonna have to back up and get some health from these from the duels, the double support comp that they're running here. Both teams inching their way towards that level 10. Very patient play from both of these teams. They're one really trying to get out and poke too much, but both teams sending out people to the lanes to soak the 10. We will see TMG Red getting 10 just a little bit faster, but the side of Innovation will play notably carefully until they're able to get their 10s in. So we will see Wrath of the Berserker, 7-sided strike coming in from Karazim, along with the Mosh Pit, indeed. And meanwhile, Ezreal getting dived in on. The Mosh Pit will come down, hitting 2, but the Sound Barrier in response to be able to keep them nice and healthy. But the lurking arm here from Amon is going to be huge to be able to silence a few of the members of TMG Red. They do get the Malthael in response, but time is going to end up going down. A 4-for-1 exchange, number 1 in Innovation. With a huge play here as the level 10s come in. Big mosh pit countered by that even bigger Sound Barrier. And the side of Innovation now going to be able to cross to the other side, proc the halftime show. TMG Red going to wisely send Shade down to start it a little bit onto that camp. But now they are going to go ahead and have time to posture into the mid here. Side of Innovation didn't have what they really wanted to be able to just charge in and get this done in the bottom section here. Both teams will posture up once again and get ready to go again. Both teams waiting for their ultimates maybe. Swanky will slide in, but like God, able to get out just in time on that Pale Horse. Actually, no, not on the Pale Horse. Take it back. But the side of TMG Red going to force the issue a little bit here. Go up, get a couple of those hungering arrows out onto the Immortal. Innovation definitely with the defensive posturing. Both teams actually sizing up more in the defensive department here. But Chrissy will go ahead and dive on out. First bullet will actually come into Swanky there. The Fire Team just barely going to get a huge Ancestral coming in there from Ezreal to be able to keep him up. Shade getting poked down a little bit low. The Tormented Souls will come out with the Sound Barrier, but a 4-man Mosh Pit in response is going to take out Muradin and Malthael here. And just a huge Mosh Pit in response, but the ETC will end up falling on the back of that. Amon will go ahead and swipe the members of TMG away, but a 1-for-3 exchange will trade the Mosh Pit cooldown and the ETC life for the 3 members and a nicely shielded Immortal any day of the week. The side of TMG Red getting a nice advantage in this one, and they'll be pushing into this top lane with this Immortal. Save the Sonya to go down to the bottom lane to soak. We'll get started on the front wall here. Level 13 has been picked up here by TMG Red. They will start to push on in to this fort. The slide in and the follow-up onto Black Bandits. The 7-sided strike coming out as well. Lurking Arm to try and give them a little bit of room there. They'll be able to heal everybody up with this double support comp and get them out safely. But a big cocktail coming in there from Black Bandits. But the Immortal, still about half health, has reached the front wall. We'll get a little bit of damage done there. chunk down that wall. A little bit off the second cannon here. But the side of Innovation will clean it up. All the while, TMG Red rotating around. Going to put a little bit of pressure into the bottom while they have the opportunity. I'm going to grab the camp that Shade started on earlier. But here comes Innovation. They are looking to get something started here. Swanky will be able to slide out and face melt to peel for the team, though. Both teams will back up and reset. Really even game so far. So you got to give, obviously, the structure advantage to TMG Red after that fort going down and getting that immortal. Ooh, ETC going down in the bot lane. I missed it. I didn't see it coming. I will admit it. I thought we were in a slow time, but, you know, Innovation's like, nah. We're gonna get ourselves a kill right here. I don't know why they have a southern accent, but, you know, I'm just going with it. We'll give them the opportunity to siege in a little bit on that bottom fort front wall. About a level lead, but I think most of that's in structures. So Innovation will have the opportunity, should they get a map objective, to be able to even that out pretty easily. But level 16 is going to be coming in here pretty soon for TMG Red. Could spell a little bit of trouble here for Innovation in this Immortal phase. So they're either going to have to try to push the issue quickly here, or they're pretty much just going to have to concede the Immortal. And TMG Red knows that. They're going to go ahead and give this defensive posturing a look here. They will be putting a little bit of damage. Their two main damage dealers onto that Immortal to start it, to get a little bit of a lead, but they will back off. Meanwhile, both teams yet again capturing their shaman camps, and we will see those start to move in and get a little bit of work done on each side. But both teams send some members out to hit the defensive posturing there and clean those up pretty quickly. Level 16, very, very close here for TMG Red, and they know it. They're going to leave Rhaegar up there to get the soak so they can get the 16. Now I expect them to push the issue here. They've got all 5 members ready to go. Still 3/4 of a level until the side of Innovation has that oh so important level 16. But overall, Innovation with a nice defensive posturing. But here comes the huge mosh pit from the side. Stukov going to get blown up instantly. A few members actually walking into that big mosh. And we'll also see the 7-sided coming down onto Chrissy. But that Avatar just chunking him down. Black Bandits is going to go down. And a 3-for-0 exchange. TMG Red coming in, using their 16 talents, but really taking a huge advantage of that mosh pit. The side of Innovation not quite being able to counter it. Their biggest counter is going to be the Stukov with both the Lurking Arm and the Flailing Swipe. But not only was he the first to get caught in the mosh pit, he was also the first to get completely blown up by it. Really the only other viable interrupt being... well, there really is no other viable interrupt. You know, I guess the Stormbolt, but Muradin can have a hard time getting that off in traffic right to the ETC. Malthael will get CC'd and completely blown up here. And now TMG Red starting to roll as they come into the bottom lane. Full shield Immortal. Level 16 has been picked up for Innovation, but definitely advantage going over to TMG Red as they start to head in towards the front wall of this bottom keep. And get some damage out onto it right away. We will see the defense coming in, though. Full 4-man defense squad. Malthael still 10 seconds from being alive, so the side of Innovation does definitely have something to worry about here as TMG Red will push into the keep. They are all focusing on it. The keep is going to go down like butter here. Knife through butter. They are going to push in for more. Swanky doesn't have the mosh pit up quite yet. 5 seconds still. But he's going to be in position to get one here if they want to turn around. And he is going to fly in, but Amon will quickly hit that flailing swipe to push him away. But the shields are down on the core. And the side of TMG Red are ready to push the issue here. Mosh pit is still up, or still available, I should say. Amon will be the first to fall here. And Chrissy also getting very low there. He is going to end up going down. The Mosh will be able to catch out Greymane. He will fall. And that is going to be it. They will turn to the core. And game 1 going over to TMG Red. Very, very well played by this team. Just pretty much by the book. How you would expect an ETC comp to want to set up and get those kills. Very patient play from both teams, but at the end of the day, you know, I find a lot of the time in these patient back and forth battles, it's the team that is able to force the fight, that is able to dictate the engagements, that ends up winning. And Swanky on that ETC was always the one forcing the issue first, and it never really seemed like Innovation was forcing the fight. Post 10, they actually have the one good fight right after both teams got 10. Where they had the nice sound barrier. And you would expect with Lucio for them to be able to force the issue there a little bit. But after that first fight, it was all Swanky, ETC, and TMG Red just forcing those fights and getting the job done. So game number 2. We'll be set up here pretty shortly, I imagine, for both of these teams. I actually forgot to mention that we were starting to Discord, so let me do that really quick. All right, let me go ahead and pop the link in here. All right. Alright, so it looks like our second map is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen. Always love seeing Tomb pop up on the radar. Whoa, not right now, you. All right, looks like we are getting everybody quickly filed on into the lobby for everyone. Look forward to seeing what both these teams want to break out here on game number 2. I don't know what to expect in terms of both teams, you know, whether or not they're holding anything back here. Alright, looks like we got everybody on the right side. I guess I want to be a ref. And this little one is not going to leave me alone, I don't think. What are you doing? Huh? Alright, so TMG is ready. Hey, you leave my stuff alone. Bad kitty. Being a terror tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gonna lie. That's alright. What else are kitties for, really? I mean, let's be honest. Alright, game number 2. TMG Red. Number 1 in innovation, and we are going to Tomb of the Spider Queen. I agree. Just like Dorsey, I do enjoy some Tomb. And some spiders. And some queens. It's all great. It's all good stuff. Brightwing gonna be the first ban right out the gate by TMG Red, and I can't blame them, you know? Brightwing's pretty good. I think definitely one of the best heroes in the game right now. Definitely one of the strongest supports for sure. Not necessarily a premium on Tomb of the Spider Queen, but there's nothing really wrong with the Brightwing pick. But that's kind of a small map, so globals aren't prioritized quite as high. But the sustained healing in lane is great. Good wave clear from Brightwing. Good split push potential. And great interrupts on the turn-ins, so... Garrosh, going to be the predictable ban from Innovation. Nobody wants to play against that Garrosh, and TMG Red will insta-pick the Tassadar. It was really good here. And we will see the Greymane and the ETC coming out. And again, the insta-picks here. What a quick draft this is with the Cassia and the Rhaegar coming out instantly from TMG Red. So, a lot to talk about here. The Greymane picked up once again by Innovation. Good wave clear, good all-around hero. They will take the ETC this game, which was so impactful last game over on the side of TMG Red with those huge mosh pits. Well, the Rhaegar coming out with some really good wave clear and sustained healing, and the Cassia going to be the hyper carry from both of these supports. Johanna will be banned out in response here by Innovation. A good wave clear tank. So I kind of like that. And the Kerosene ban coming out from TMG Red. So not wanting to see that save potential or the 7-sided strike potential. Hoping Inno takes Chromie. Well, I guess we'll see, won't we? The Chromie is an interesting pickup here too. Nice thing about this map being small is that Chromie can play pretty safe, you know, from pretty safe distances and still be able to get quite a lot of value. But it kind of depends on how much dive is on the other side. Usually, I see it late picked more often because you like to see exactly what you're going to see on the other side. I could see it here from Innovation. Could possibly work out. Chromie likes the target standing still, so ETC can do that for a little while. Especially with that mosh pit. The Cho'Gall coming out, though, from the side of Innovation. And very interesting. They haven't picked up a support yet, but I suppose Ariel and Alex Straza are both still available. And Bahamut, thank you very much for the host, my friend. I assume that other matchup in the B division has finished out, so I really appreciate the shout out and the host on over. Welcome everybody who is joining us from that B division semifinal match. Malthael and Anubarak going to be picked up here for TMG Red. So Anubarak, pretty good counter to the Cho'Gall with the web wrap. But of all the heroes in the game that you really want when you're going against the Cho'Gall, I think Malthael is probably the best. That percentage-based damage that he's constantly dealing is pretty ridiculous. And also an interesting pick for innovation in this scenario. To pick the Cho'Gall, but to still have the Malthael available to be banned in that last ban phase. We'll have to see if they live to regret that at the end of this matchup. Banning out the Johanna instead of the Malthael if they were planning on picking up the Cho'Gall next. The Karazim wasn't available, but they already had the double support for TMG Red. And the Anubarak and the Malthael, I think, should be more than enough to make up the difference here. I like watching the chat after the fact. It's up on my big screen with the chat and everything, away from my main monitor, and so kind of watching like 2 minutes in the past where the Cho'Gall pick is about to come in, and waiting to see what everyone's response it will be in the chat once it comes out. Oh, that's pretty good, pretty awesome. All right, well, game number 2. We are loading in. TMG Red is going to be your blue team on the left. And they are up 1-0 in the series, looking to close it out here on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Ezreal going to be on the Tassadar. Fire team on the Rhaegar. Swanky going to be playing a Anubarak. Time on the Cassia. And Shade is going to be on the Malthael. On the right, number 1 in innovation, looking to take us to game 3. Light God is going to be on the Greymane. Can't see that skin very well. It's still kind of new. Amon going to be on the Ariel. Blarose going to be on the Cho'Gall, and Chrissy is going to be on the ETC. I do like the names. The name combination here for Cho'Gall, Blarose, kind of like a boring flower. Well, both teams going to go ahead and commit early to the mid lane. Going to try to clear out these minions and move on. Amon getting a ton of that hope generation from the Cho'Gall. Of all the hope generators in the game, I think Cho'Gall probably takes the cake. I don't usually like to see them on the same team, but you got to give a lot of credit to TMG Red here. They clear the mid really quickly. They send their team up to the top to clear, and they are cutting off number 1 in innovation from being able to safe rotate here. Going to be dealing a lot of damage to them as they rotate to the top. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, these two are going to be going back and forth. In the top, both teams really pushing the issue. Chrissy getting poked very, very low. The heal will come out, but the Tassadar will get just enough damage. Actually, it was actually Time who got that final hit there. We'll secure the pick on ETC. Now, if there's any one major criticism I would have for the comp of innovation right now, it's the ETC. In my experience, doesn't function very well with solo support. You got double support on the side of TMG Red, and I think the biggest problem with Cho'Gall in the meta right now is it kind of makes it difficult for you to have a balanced comp while still running the double support. You kind of have to do double support with another assassin, and the Cho'Gall is your main tank, which doesn't give enough It just doesn't give enough peels, really, for the rest of your team. Especially, like, you know, a Nubarak, web wrap to just be able to cut it off. Meanwhile, yet again, Chrissy getting caught out, stunned by the Nubarak. Ton of damage coming down, but this time we'll be able to make it out safely to the wall. But meanwhile, TMG Red definitely dominating in the rotation department, and starting to see the effect in the ammo and the front walls here. Meanwhile, the stun and the damage coming out onto Ariel, second pick of the game, going over to TMG Red, and they're also going to take out the front wall here in the top. So you see them get that advantage, and they are going to take full advantage in the top. Also now dealing a ton of damage to Cho'Gall. We'll be able to push him out the top lane here. All the while, they're getting closer and closer to having enough gems for this turn-in. The side of TMG Red will go ahead and dump some of those into the bank, or we'll try, like God, come in early enough to at least interrupt Swanky. But 17 in the bank here for the side of TMG. While Innovation only having 32 in their pocket, haven't turned any of them into the Spider God just yet. La Rose hanging on to a few of those gems, but we've also seen a couple of them drop with those 2 kills so far. Meanwhile, a little bit of poke back and forth here over the turn, and actually, La Rose taking a ton of damage and is not going to be able to get out of this situation. The question is the return kill coming in? The answer is no. The full 5-man rotate to the mid. They'll be able to save Swanky and be able to get the counter kill onto Greymane. A 3-for-0 exchange when all is said and done, and that's going to proc the insta-turn in here for TMG Red, and the blue web weavers coming out. A full 1-level lead right now for the side of TMG, and they are going to be wisely focusing in on this top fort with their 3 members here in the top, but also spreading everybody out to be able to get the XP. Now about a level and a half lead here. 5-0 on the kill counter. Doesn't hurt that, but they are getting some serious siege damage out to be able to get some good structure advantage here. Going to lead to a nice XP lead. They're going to get 10 pretty quickly at this rate with all these extra structures going down. The side of Innovation is able to save the top fort, but the mid fort will not be so lucky. It will go down, and now TMG Red will just go ahead and rotate out towards the top, or so it would have seemed. All the while, Chrissy having to face off here against Shade. That's not going to be a advantage for Chrissy in any way. Again, I would say the ETC is probably the toughest part of this comp for Innovation. Doesn't give a whole lot of extra damage to really complement here. Not having that double support, it's gonna be kind of rough. They have a lot of engage potential, but the question is, especially with now a 2-level deficit, if they are able to force these fights, what are they really going to be able to do with that force in the first place? Camp will be picked up here in the bottom lane for TMG Red. And they're going to leave definitely one of the strongest wave clear heroes in the game, an ETC. I'm kidding. Definitely not a whole lot of wave clear coming out from the ETC. While 4 members will commit to the boss here very quickly. Between the Rhaegar damage with the Lightning Bond, the Cassia damage, and the percentage damage from Malthael, they should be able to take that out pretty quick. It does look like number 1 in Innovation is going to look to scout it out. But at that point, you kind of look at that situation, and even if you do figure out that TMG Red is there, you can't really do anything about it without the level 10. And TMG Red knows that too, of course. Let's go ahead and take that advantage to the bank. will go ahead and pick up the Web Weavers. Not timed together perfectly. We will see Innovation being able to put a little bit of damage out on this boss before the Web Weavers do come down. But with the full 5-man commitment here in the top, they are forcing Innovation to respond here, and the Web Weavers will be able to push in the other lanes pretty freely. While all the while, they are going to get this keep pretty easily, especially with the Web Weaver coming in right behind all of this. Level 10s will come in right about the exact same time as the top keep goes down for number 1 in Innovation. Meanwhile, the side of TMG Red will instantly rotate out and start getting to work on the other lanes. The sign of a really good team is when you know not to overstay. As soon as that keep was confirmed, you saw them instantly peeling out and getting ready to go for somewhere else. And so right now, TMG Red just playing this textbook. Bottom fort is going to go down to that Web Weaver in the bot lane, but here comes Chrissy with that Ancestral. But the pull in there is going to take a couple members out of it, and they will be able to turn around. And a very interesting pick here. Last Right's coming out to get a kill. And Nubarak will be killed on the backside of all that. But Last Rice, you don't see that every day. Coming out here from Shade. It is a percentage-based. It is a percentage-based ult, though. You know, when you come down to it, 50% of that missing health. So if you can get him down to 33%, that's an insta-kill. I kind of like the adjustment there. And plus, you know, at the end of the day, with Cho'Gall on the other side, there's less bodies to be able to take advantage of from the other ult, which name is escaping me somehow. Only like the most popular ult in the game right now. It's alright, no big deal. I'll remember it right after the cast is over. That's kind of how it goes. Y'all are also seeing the Archon coming out here from Tassadar. Ezreal going to be getting some extra damage done with that. Go for the Throat was selected here from Greymane, so not really overly impressed by the health bars of TMG Red. Not going to pick that Cursed Bullet. Everything else is pretty standard. They gotta definitely watch for the upheaval and the mosh pit, though, for the side of Innovation. That definitely has quite a lot of counter synergy potential. So many of the abilities and ults for the side of Innovation are, of course, going to be AoE based. So it's going to be important that they get them trapped into that Wombo combo. They want to look to bring this one back and force us to a game 3. They will be able to push them off the bottom here, but without 13, not really wanting to force the issue too hard. Chrissy will be out there looking for what's going on, but ultimately they'll clear up the bottom here. They've got some stuff to worry about in the other lanes, and right now, as TMG Red slowly starts to make their way towards that 60 counter, we'll try and get another turn in. Just continuing to go back and forth and try to take a little damage here, a little damage there where they can. Boss still going to be 30 seconds from being active. Oh, meanwhile, Light God being caught out a little bit. Chrissy going to go ahead and pop the mosh pit. Going to prevent a couple members from coming in, but as soon as that goes down, everybody will turn around and completely blow him up. UTC goes down in a blaze of glory. Rocking out. Level 16 right around the corner now for the side of TMG Red. 3-level lead as they start to push in and pressure in this middle keep area. Boss is available, though. It looks like the side of TMG Red is going to go there. They do not have the gems to turn in, but right now, Innovation holding on to 127 gems. But have not scored a single turn in yet. Okay, that's a good point, Noir. You're right about that. There's definitely some counters to it. But anyway, Rose taking a ton of damage yet again as Shade starting to melt him, but before the Ancestral can even try to come out, they will turn around and blow him up. But at what cost? It's all 5 members of Innovation end up getting completely blown up here. 3 of them done in by Cassia. And I believe that is going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. The GGs come out. TMG Red has nothing left to do but march through the top lane and take down the core in order to secure themselves a spot in the Division A Finals. And it is going to be indeed TMG Red moving on to the finals. Making it look easy here in game number 2. Very impressive indeed. TMG Red coming out and getting the job done. Not really a whole lot of analysis, I think, needed for that match. I feel like it was good. Couple of picks at the end there for TMG Red to be able to really secure a good counter to the Cho'Gall comp. Got to give a lot of credit to Innovation for coming in and wanting to play something a little different after that first game. They definitely needed to make some adjustments, and adjustments were made for sure. Just don't know if the comp really had the synergy that it needed. I think double support could have maybe been a little bit better than the double tank idea with the ETC. I don't think they got very much value out of that in general. But also definitely in that drafting situation, leaving those last couple of picks can be really, really tough. The Malthael being left open with the Johanna ban, I think, is definitely going to end up being a factor to look back on in this one. But can't take anything away from TMG Red. They came out tonight. They performed really well and executed, and they got the job done. Be interesting to see how they can perform in that Division A Finals match. So that is going to do it for me tonight, guys. For NGS, I am Jason. Thank you very much for coming out tonight, guys. You can check out all of these matches as we get the cheer. So we get the cheer in from Medieval. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And you can check out all of these matches that I cast on my YouTube channel as well. And of course, I'll be back casting more NGS and hopefully playing. I'm looking for a team right now. So if anybody out there has got a team that they want a washed up chair league player to join in on, I'm here. But thank you very much for joining me tonight, guys, and I will see you guys next time for more NGS action. Have a good night.